The night I opened my front door, I never imagined that one simple sentence would change the rest of my life. Rain poured from the dark sky, thunder echoed through the empty streets, and standing on my porch was the last person I ever expected to see. She looked exhausted, soaked to the bone, and carried nothing but a small travel bag and a heart that seemed even heavier than mine. When I quietly told her, "It's late, so stay with me tonight," she looked into my eyes with a bittersweet smile and softly replied, "Only tonight." In that moment, the past, the pain, and all the years we had lost came rushing back together. Before we continue, if you believe kindness deserves a second chance and that broken hearts can still find hope, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, leave a comment, and subscribe to Dot. Your support helps these emotional stories reach people who may need them the most. My name is Daniel, and 5 years earlier, I had believed I had found my forever with Olivia. We were young, full of dreams, and convinced that love alone could survive anything. Unfortunately, real life proved much harder than fairy tales. Endless arguments, financial pressure, misunderstandings, and pride slowly destroyed what affection had built. Our divorce wasn't explosive. It was painfully quiet, the kind that leaves two people pretending they no longer care while silently grieving every day afterward. The hardest part wasn't losing my wife. It was losing the family I had become part of. Her parents stopped calling, holidays became lonely, and even her younger sister Sophie disappeared from my life. Sophie had always been different from everyone else. While Olivia judged quickly and spoke before listening, Sophie noticed the small things. She remembered birthdays, helped neighbors without expecting anything in return, and somehow managed to smile even when life disappointed her. To me she had always been nothing more than a younger sister-in-law, someone cheerful who brought warmth wherever she went. After the divorce, I assumed I would never see her again. Life moved on, at least on the outside. I worked long hours restoring antique furniture, spending more time with old wood than with people. Every scratch I repaired reminded me that broken things could become beautiful again if someone cared enough to restore them. Yet I never believed the same was true for people. My apartment became quiet, my routines predictable, and loneliness settled into every corner like dust. Then came that stormy evening. When I opened the door and saw Sophie standing there, I barely recognized her. She looked older than her 30 years, her smile weaker, her eyes carrying the weight of months without peace. She explained that her apartment building had suffered a serious electrical fire. Everyone had been evacuated, and hotels nearby were completely booked because of a city convention. She had almost driven to another town before remembering that I lived only 20 minutes away. She admitted she wasn't even sure I would answer the door. Of course I invited her inside. She thanked me quietly, changed into one of my oversized sweatshirts while her clothes dried, and we shared the simplest dinner imaginable, tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches. Somehow that ordinary meal became one of the warmest evenings I had experienced in years. We laughed about embarrassing family vacations, old Christmas traditions, and memories that somehow belonged to both of us despite everything that had happened. As midnight approached, the rain only became heavier. Looking outside, I knew there was no safe reason for her to leave. Without thinking, I simply said it was late and she should stay the night. Her playful reply about staying only one night carried far more meaning than either of us admitted aloud. Neither of us slept much. Instead, we sat in the living room watching the rain fall against the windows while sharing pieces of our lives we had hidden from everyone else. Sophie confessed that the divorce between Olivia and me had torn her family apart more than anyone realized. Her parents regretted choosing sides too quickly. Olivia had moved across the country after remarrying, yet her second marriage had already ended. The anger everyone once carried had slowly turned into regret. She also admitted something I never expected. After the divorce, she had often wanted to check on me but believed it would seem inappropriate. Every birthday she wondered how I was doing. Every Christmas she remembered how I carved the turkey while pretending not to know the recipe. She never stopped hoping I had found happiness. Her words caught me completely off guard because I had secretly wondered about her too. Not romantically. At least not then. I had simply missed one of the few genuinely kind people I had ever known. The following morning she left after thanking me again. I assumed that was the end of the story. It wasn't. A week later she invited me for coffee to repay my kindness. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became weekend walks. Weekend walks became volunteering together at a community shelter that restored donated furniture for struggling families. Working side by side reminded me why I had loved restoring things in the first place. Every repaired table, every polished chair, every rebuilt cabinet eventually found a new home with someone starting over. In many ways, we were doing exactly the same thing with ourselves. Months passed before either of us acknowledged that something had changed. There was no dramatic confession, no movie-style kiss in the rain. There was simply peace. Being around Sophie never felt complicated. We encouraged each other's dreams instead of competing with them. We listened before judging. We laughed more than we argued. Still, one obstacle remained. Her parents. When Sophie finally told them we had been spending time together, silence filled the room. They worried people would misunderstand. They feared Olivia's reaction. Most of all, they wondered whether reopening old chapters would only create fresh pain. Instead of defending ourselves, we simply continued living honestly. Slowly they noticed something unexpected. I wasn't trying to replace their daughter. Sophie wasn't betraying her sister. We were simply two lonely people who had found healing where neither of us had expected it. One afternoon Sophie's father visited my workshop carrying the old rocking chair that had belonged to his late wife. Its wooden arms were cracked beyond repair, and he quietly admitted that nobody else had been willing to restore it. For weeks I worked on that chair with extraordinary care. When I finally returned it, tears filled his eyes. He ran his hand across the smooth wood and whispered that it looked even better than he remembered. Then he looked at me and quietly said something that stayed with me forever. He said people deserve the same patience we gave old furniture. If damaged wood could become beautiful again, perhaps damaged hearts could too. That was the day he accepted us. Nearly a year after that rainy night, I invited Sophie to the same apartment where everything had begun. The storm outside looked strangely familiar, almost as though life had brought us full circle. This time, instead of offering her a place to stay for one night, I handed her a small wooden box I had carved myself. Inside rested a simple engagement ring. I reminded her of the first words I had spoken that rainy evening and smiled as I asked whether she would stay not just for one night, but for every tomorrow we were lucky enough to share. She laughed through tears before saying yes. Sometimes life doesn't give us second chances with the same people. Sometimes it quietly places different people on the same road to teach us what real love looks like. Love built on patience instead of pride. On kindness instead of control. On healing instead of hurting. Years later, whenever storms rolled across the city, Sophie would smile at me from across our living room and jokingly ask if she still had permission to stay another night. Every single time, my answer remained exactly the same. She was already home. If this story touched your heart or reminded you that kindness can heal even the deepest wounds, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, subscribe to Dot, and leave a comment to encourage others who may be waiting for their own second chance. Speech balloon special request, comment below, kindness always finds its way home. We'd love to know where you're watching from and whether you believe second chances can truly change a life. Thank you for spending these moments with us. May this story remind you that the greatest love stories are often born not from perfect beginnings, but from broken hearts that choose kindness, forgiveness, and hope one more time.